All right, well, continuing on here today at the Fourpoints here in Point Everett on Venetian, and the B2B resource event, a very unique networking event here today. The experts are here in the house, and health and wellness is really a big part of our lives, or at least it should be. And Jordy Bettridge from Ironworks here to talk to us today about all kinds of different subjects in the health world.
Absolutely. No, thanks for having me, and look forward to having a discussion with you.
Yeah, so just before we started the camera, you talked about a few things that you're going to be focusing on. I always get a little nervous when I get around to a health expert because they're going to make me do stuff I probably wouldn't normally do, but it's probably something I should do.
Well, I think that's something that's part of our job, is to make you do things that you should be doing, because that's when injuries happen, especially as we age.
Right.
We stop doing the things that frighten us or that we're a little bit nervous about. And that's when compensation happens. That's when injuries happen. So it's one of those things that we got to get you doing the things that you're somewhat uncomfortable doing, but doing them in a safe way.
Yeah, and I like how you say that, because I think it's probably an out of the box. I'm personally myself trying to figure out next is the physical side for me. I'm going to be 56 years old, so those things you mentioned really starting to come into play. So how does someone, I mean, today's a great day to come and talk to you, but where should a person start with all that?
Well, it's one of those things that, to make a long story short, I remember I was chatting with a fella, and he came in, and I said, "What brings you to the center?" And he looked at me and he said, "Well, my wife." And I said, okay, well, fair enough. I said, well, let me ask you a different question. I said, what do you enjoy doing?
Right.
And he said, well, I enjoy golfing, I enjoy my grandkids, I enjoy doing gardening and lawn care and things like that. And I said, well, that's why you're here. So fitness has really changed over the years, where it's, no offense, I don't really care what your biceps look like.
Right.
But I care about
good.
how stable your shoulders are, how stable your hips are, what is your core strength like, how can we mimic everyday movements so you can do the things that you enjoy doing as long as humanly possible, right? So fitness has changed in that way, that we want to look at how can we keep you doing the things that you enjoy doing, whether you're 20, 60, 120, and make it so, you know what, your body just works as good as possible.
Right. The word motivation, maybe inspiration's even a better word, is probably something that a lot of people struggle with, and then that kind of leads into mental health, and you mentioned that's something you're dealing with as well as through Ironworks.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're, as much as we are a fitness center, we are more of a wellness center anymore. We have a fully functioning physiotherapy clinic on site. We have a mental health coach on staff, a nutritionist on staff. My team and I were certified more as what they call medical exercise specialists, so dealing with more injuries, more discomfort, things like that. So we see a lot of hip and knee replacements, we see a lot of back injuries, we see a lot of shoulder issues, stroke recovery, Parkinson's programs, you name it. That's kind of where our center is looking, or where we've kind of gone down that road. But everybody has pain, everybody has discomfort, everybody has something going on. So to have kind of a well-rounded team, that's what our focus has been.
Okay, so now I want to get started. Now, I think, I know for me, like, there's a lot of different choices, gyms, whatever. What makes Ironworks stand out above the rest?
So one of the things, and we've done this for as long as I've been part of the company, and I'm in my 25th year now, we always include complimentary sessions. So we're going to bring somebody in, we're going to do a complimentary consultation. I want to know their health history, I want to know what they did for a living, I want to know past injuries, because those are all things that factor in when developing a program.
Right.
I had a consult the other day, and the person said, well, I've worked out in the past, I've used all these machines, what are you going to show me? I said, well, it's not what I'm going to show you, it's what I'm going to teach you. So I often say, yes, we are trainers, but in the early stages, we should be more educators, right? So if we're teaching you how to do the equipment and why you're doing it and how to do it perfectly, and then also showing you how to do it incorrectly so you can see these things, if you learn everything we know about that exercise and that machine, you're going to understand why you're doing it, and you're going to do it properly. So in the beginning, we're more educators, but again, program layout is always included in every membership that
makes total sense too, because like I know, like I've been into other gyms and I'm like, okay, I've got my membership and here I am. And then I look around and I see all these machines, etc. And I'm like, I know there's a little video that explains it, but it doesn't really. It can be very intimidating for a person to walk in. What's the experience when, say, the first time I walk through the door at Ironworks?
You know what? That would be one of the things I'm probably most proud of. Is I'd say 9.5 times out of 10 people come in and they see the culture, they see the community, they see the diversity of the crowd, and it's very unintimidating.
Right.
I remember this goes back way back when, but I remember I think it was Tufts University did a study that walking through the doors of a gym is the second most frightening thing for the average person to
Wow.
do. And
I believe that.
I mean, it's all I know, but at the same time, I understand it. It's like you walk in, you see this big room, you see all this equipment that to somebody who's never used it, it all looks the same. What does it do? How do I use it?
Right.
So we try to take as much guesswork away. So we chart everything. I always say it's your cheat sheet. As long as you and I understand what I'm writing down on it,
Right.
that's all that matters, right? But again, it's the little things. So we do a lot of verbal cues with a lot of like how do we relate it to everyday life? When you're teaching, say, a squat, there's a lot of things that can go wrong. There's a lot of things that we should be doing, even eye position or where you're looking or things like that, because we're always looking at posture, we're always looking at spine angle, we're always looking at those types of things. So those are the things that we're going to write on your sheet. And at the same time, my team and I were always out there. I mean, it may sound, it sounds awful in some respects, but like we'll be training somebody, but we're always keeping an eye. We never want anybody to get hurt, or if somebody's looking confused.
That would make me feel good.
Yeah.
Just knowing somebody's watching.
Yeah, we're always trying to keep an eye, because if somebody's looking there and they're a little bit confused, well, that's somewhat frustrating for that person.
Sure.
Right? So for me or a team member to go up and spend 10 seconds with somebody, it's well worth it.
Perfect. So, well, I learned a lot just talking to you. So thank you, Jordy. And Jordy is just one of the team members that's going to be here with Ironworks at the B2B resource event that's on from 2 until 6 this evening. Come out and see all the experts. Come say hi to Ironworks and learn a little bit more about how you can start making yourself a little bit better. Thanks again, Jordy. And thanks to all of you for watching. As always, I'm David Burrows. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for having me.